Welcome to the World Championship for Professional Drone Racing Teams. We're the Drone Champions League. It's race day 11 and I'm Matt Andrews. Here with the 10 teams battling to try and make it to the Split 2 finals, which are coming up soon, we have two really good matchups for you today. We'll start off with the DCL Wildcard Team, who are bringing in an established lineup of Flocelli, Zoom, Vizzy and Mr. Bogey. They are up against a team that they've had decent performances against in the past. SDT Perpetuumcoin, the Spain drone team. It's Blessed, Silvio, Danube and Shrimpy Boy who are going to be battling today. After that, one of the classic matches of the DCL. Xblades from the UK with Sally1, Yayu, Star 23467 and Shane against one of the most loud and proud and best rivals they've got, the Americans of Quad Force 1. But big changes here. Screecher comes in, along with Propsicle, their captain, QTFPV and Hyper returns. In Split 1, these teams finished 1 point apart, but as you can see, Xblades and Quad Force 1, it's a very different story this year. SDT are the team in 6th place. The Wildcard team want to move up and catch them, and they'll be battling over 3 races each. 2 pilots versus 2, the other 2v2, and then all 8 pilots fly in the DCL Big Heat. You get 4 points for a win in any of those races, then 3, 2, and 1, which means the DCL Big Heat has 10 points available. After the battles are done, the winning team gets 3 points to their standings, 1 for a draw. Nobody wants the 0. Our track for this week is a return to the Great Wall of China and around the beautiful town of Simitai, where we start over the roofs with 8 block trade gates in a snaking set of turns. Before we dive down through this DCL gate and then over, back through and out underneath the bridge, we call that a Split S. There are a lot of ring gates here as well. We're going to fly through all of those in a fairly straightforward slalom. That's a tight 180 turn, but there's no split S's or difficult maneuvers going on there. We do have a corkscrew here around the pagoda gate though. Just the one set, you come back out through the bottom. Then it's a spiralling ladder on the way up with a left-hand turn and a descending right-hand turn. Don't hit any of the lampposts around here. We've had that happen before. Corkscrewing this gate. 180 turn again between these two and then a hard right to head down towards the river, where we go through a couple of DCL gates, make a turn around the tree, and then there are some more split S's coming up. Here's the first on the left hand side, followed by a 180 to come out, then split S the right hand side and a 180 back the other way. Watch out for some more trees before you head back to the rooftops, and you go left to carry on with the block trade or straight ahead if it's the final lap. So let's go racing! The Wildcard team against SDT Perpetuumcoin. The first 2v2 is Mr. Bogey and Zoom against Silvio and Blessed. The Wildcard team in red, SDT from Spain in green. Silvio at the front of things, then Zoom, Mr. Bogey and Blessed out of the blocks. And all of them within about half a second of each other, so a strong starts, and this is Mr. Bogey over the treetops and heading into the rings, and that's an unusual way. It was a 180 degree to the left, instead he did a kind of 360 to the right. Early mistake for Mr. Bogey, sees him a little bit further behind. His teammate Zoom, though, is up into second between the SDT pilots. We see him, ooh, nice and tight on the exit of that. Oh, misses the turn on the 180 though. Oh, Zoom making some mistakes on some sharp turns as well. That's going to be difficult here at the Great Wall of China and this Montane Dragon backtrack, because there's quite a few 180s coming up. Silvio and Blessed complete the first lap and head through the block trade set of gates, and they are a good chunk of time ahead of both of the wildcard pilots. Silvio is a second ahead of his own teammate. Let's see how well he flies as we start to get to these rings and these tight turns. This is all very nice. That's very smooth indeed. No problem with any of those. Now he heads up to the pagoda gate, one corkscrew and then a hard 180 to come out, and he nips between the poles to do it. That is as tight as you can. Keep your eyes peeled on later races to see if anybody else can sneak through that tiny gap. It's very small, and the amount of time it saves you is very important. Silvio and Blessed still ahead of this pilot Zoom, but Zoom gaining a little bit on Blessed, trying to keep with him. Almost split us the wrong side of that gate, and that's an unusual approach to the second one. He nearly went right and left, whereas you have to go left and right. That's lost him maybe a tenth or two. He's still in third place, and Mr. Bogey is way behind and having all kinds of trouble on this track. We're into the final lap. Silvio, 3 seconds ahead of Blessed. How tight is he flying now? Oh, extremely tight there, but it messed up his approach to the next one. Blessed is within a couple of tenths of a second of him now, and Zoom is gaining on the pair of them. This race could be back on for the Wildcard team after it seemed a little bit too far out of reach. Now Zoom has got a real chance of stealing second. It's first within reach, possibly a stretch too far, but let's see. Zoom is now flying very smoothly and more confidently towards the river. Blessed is still a little bit in front of him. Silvio surely too far out of reach. He gets all of those gates lined up nice and clean. So does Blessed and Zoom. We've got a race on for second. And Silvio is going to be home. Everybody to the finish.
Estás calentando en la última de vuelta, Silvio.
Good race, good race.
Good start.
Yeah, let's go. Nice time zone.
Encouraging words from Vizzy and Flocelli there, saying nice time for Zoom. Mr. Bogey never really featured. Silvio was flying well out front. Here's Mr. Bogey early on in lap number 1. Just as we start to get into the courtyard and all the arches and the pagoda gate, he just lost time and time and time. Zoom was flying quickly, just overshoots that turn. That was early on in the race, so he fought back quite a long way from there. Here's Mr. Bogey. And that is a lot of seconds disappearing from him before he gets into the Bridge S. Silvio flew through these arches like they weren't even there, but hits this one. That was the one that gave Blessed and Zoom a chance to get nearer to him, but watch Silvio as he turns and goes through the pagoda gate. The corkscrew is great, and then the exit is as tight as you can. Zoom, though, really smoothed things out towards the end. Still ended up nearly 2 seconds behind Silvio, but a good bit of flying. Here come the teammates of Flocelli and Vizzy against Danube and Shrimpy Boy in the other 2v2. Now, of these, the most experienced pilot in the DCL is by far Danube, who was captain of SDT since they joined the DCL many, many years ago. He's got Shrimpy Boy, his teammate, just in front of him, and Vizzy, who's out in front of everyone. Here's the turn into the 180. Vizzy's hit it! Oh, he hit the 180-degree turn, bounced off of the ring, didn't go through it. He's lost lots of seconds. This is really bad news for the Wildcard team, as Danube and Shrimpy Boy just might never be seen again. To the roof, Shrimpy Boy chasing his teammate Danube. You'll see some strong, smooth flying from both of these pilots, I think. And Vizzy, with almost a 4-second deficit, is going to have to hope that SDT get into some problems. Heading towards start of the second lap. Shrimpy Boy trying to keep up with Danube, but a couple of turns have just seen Danube slip a little further ahead of him, particularly at the pagoda gate. Let's see if he can pull off what Silvio was doing on the previous run as well. There's Shrimpy Boy going hard into the split S, slightly overshooting the middle section of it, so he's lost another couple of tenths. Through the rings, Shrimpy Boy turning nicely there, maybe slightly too wildly, and again lost a little bit of time. Danube comes out quick and tight, manages to get that tiny turn done. Danube flying very nicely. That's a great corkscrew there, now up to the roof, and he's hit the far side of that arch once, if not twice. Shrimpy Boy is in front of him. The Wildcard team still a little bit too far away to take advantage, but this is Shrimpy Boy in the lead. Danube comes into that first split S and steals it from him. What aggressive, brilliant flying that was. Danube with a real turn on those corners, and now Shrimpy Boy cuts into the block trade a little bit more direct. Oh, it's a good race. On to the final lap between the two pilots for SDT. Shrimpy Boy was a little slower on these last time. That was pretty solid from him. He's within 1/10 of a second of his teammate Danube underneath him as they come into the arches. It's going to have to be good from Shrimpy Boy. Danube is doing well with it too. Can Shrimpy Boy make the exit? Let's see. Goes slightly round the pole. Danube now leading him into the ladders. They both make it out very nicely indeed. Shrimpy Boy is going a little bit wider on some of these turns. That's letting Danube pull a 10th here and there, which means he's now over a second and a half ahead of Shrimpy Boy. Where did he find the time? You can see how tightly he's flying. He's down though. Danube on the split S, hit the floor. Shrimpy Boy still a little bit too far away to take advantage of it, and both of the Wildcard team are over 10 seconds behind. But what flying for the green team.
Nice.
Let's go.
Wow, Vizzy and Flocelli looking so despondent. Vizzy with his head in his hands. Mr. Bogey tries to rally them with a let's go, let's go. Vizzy was in a real fight with them, but a couple of bumps here just held him back a long way, and after that, it was a real struggle. Danube was great here, hits this archway though. That's the one he had to straighten up and go through. That's where Shrimpy Boy got in front of him. But then watch as they come down to the river. Danube on these split S's on lap number 2. That was a phenomenal move just in there, and follows it up with a second one. Unfortunately, a lap later, wasn't quite so good. Hit the bottom of the turn and goes onto the ground. But look, the red drones of Vizzy and Flocelli are just nowhere near them in China. And that's a big fast finish to bounce that far away, Danube. Let's see what happens in the big heat with all 8 pilots racing at the same time. So you have to say it's stacked against the wildcard team here. 14 points to 6. They've come in 3rd and 4th in both of the 2v2s. Flocelli, another slow start for him, like he had earlier on as well. Mr. Bogey struggling too. It does look like it's going to be Vizzy and Zoom who are the best challengers from the wildcard team. And there with Silvio and Danube just switching places around at the front. Silvio is not getting out of that tidily at all. Turned too soon, got caught on some of the poles just before even the 180 turn. So that's put him to the back of all of the SDT pilots. And in front now, it's Danube. Let's go chase with Vizzy. Turn around the tree, and now let's see if he can gain on him through these split S's. It's half a second between them as we start this section. Vizzy comes out just slightly further away onto the start of lap number 2. Shrimpy Boy behind him, Zoom in 4th place. They'd need an enormous performance by all of the wildcard pilots, basically taking all of the places up front in order to win this series over SDT. Perhaps they can come out of it with a few more points though, and a little bit of a stronger showing. Can Vizzy do anything about Danube? Well, he's 1.2 seconds ahead of him, and Silvio here is just outside the scoring positions in 5th in a battle with Zoom. Wow, how did he fit through there? Silvio doing everything he can. Vizzy still in front of him. He's got past Zoom, though, and moved up into 3rd, and now 2nd. And Silvio heads for SDT down to the river. He's almost 2 seconds behind the leader, who is Danube, flying very nicely out in front. Silvio here in 2nd. Getting caught on that split S. The Zoom's got back in front of him just about by only a 1/10 of a second. We're on to the 3rd lap into the block trade series. Zoom still in 2nd, then Silvio in 3rd. Shrimpy Boy a little bit further behind, over half a second behind in 4th. Danube leads almost 3 seconds ahead of everybody else. 3rd lap here over the rooftops. Little bit wild on some of those swings, and he might be remembering that he's been caught out by them once or twice. He's still so brave making it out of the pagoda gate. That is impossibly tight. And now he has got SDT's pilots Silvio and Shrimpy Boy in 2nd and 3rd. Both of them are ahead of Zoom as they come down now towards the river. Big gaps between these pilots. We've got to race on with Zoom and Shrimpy Boy in 3rd and 4th. But the big scoring positions look like Danube and Silvio have got them all wrapped up in what is going to be a very one-sided series for SDT Perpetuumcoin against the wildcard team. Danube is home. Here comes Silvio in 2nd, 3 seconds behind him. Shrimpy Boy and then Vizzy will go in with Zoom.
Ooh, let's go.
Wow, che Mario, Dio.
The wildcard team have lost to many of the other teams in the DCL, but I've never seen them take a loss that hard. Danube was the winner. Silvio was in front for a lot of it, but really messed up on this pagoda game. Some of the angles out of it are so impossibly tight, but that one was turned far too tightly and far too soon. Here's his run on the 2nd lap. Watch how good this is. How do you get out through there? That's excellent flying, and this laddering afterwards is also really tight. He's behind Vizzy until he exits that turn there, and then has just nudged slightly ahead of him. So Vizzy is on the chase in lap 2, and as he comes up to the split S, the first one's okay, but he hits the bottom of the 2nd. That puts him on the ground, and he hits the 2nd split S here. Maybe it was a break in concentration from the crash. We saw some good racing from Zoom just ahead of Silvio on the 3rd lap. Silvio just trying to gain on him on all of those turns, but makes such a quick job of the bridge. Silvio and Zoom both flying very well at that stage. Danube comes in and gets the maximum points for SDT. So it's an outright win for the Spain drone team. They got 23 points to 7. That's almost a perfect score. The only point they dropped was in the big heat when Fizzy beat out Zoom for 4th place. Let's see what happens between Xblades and Quad Force 1. One of the biggest rivalries in the DCL, but with some new pilots getting involved. Star 23467 Yayu in light blue for Xblades, and then it's Propsicle and QTFPV in dark blue for the American team. So QTFPV is the newest pilot of all 4 of these, and he's in 3rd, just ahead of his teammate Propsicle. Now turning through the courtyard into the rings. Propsicle just slips by him. Let's see what QTFPV can do on the pagoda gates. Oh, that's good work from QTFPV. Good confident flying, and he's up against it with such a lot of experience in front of him. Oh, and maybe that just got to him a little as he's gone wrong on the corkscrew, and the pilots will start to get away by a couple of seconds. So Propsicle, the best pilot and the captain of Quad Force 1, doing the battle with Yayu and Star. Now, we've been in this situation many times. Yayu and Propsicle have always given us a fantastic battle. Lap number 2, Propsicle 1 second behind Yayu. That's a big gap early in the race. Star not quite managing to keep up with Yayu either, so first Propsicle's going to try and slip past him. 0.2 of a second between them. Propsicle slightly more direct to the first ring. He can see both of the Xblades pilots, and he has gone through those rings so quickly. Star never got seen. But he's back in front of him now as they go through the ladders. Star is flying really well. Propsicle battling with him, and they've gained on Yayu as a result of the attacking that they're doing. Star follows down now to the river. 7/10 behind his teammate. Propsicle a bit closer than he was as well. And Star is having all kinds of problems on the first of the split S. Manages to straighten it out and tidy it up for the second, but Propsicle's away from him into second place. And now we've got a chase. 0.9 of a second between Yayu and Propsicle. It's going to need a little bit of a mistake from Yayu for Propsicle to get close enough and take advantage of it. And Propsicle's going to have to fly out of his skin and try and do anything else about it. Over the rooftops. Propsicle flying well. Yayu even further ahead of him than he was. Propsicle's going to have to nail the gate, and he does. And so has Yayu. No matter what Propsicle is doing here, Yayu's not getting any nearer. Behind them, Star is in 3rd. QTFPV is 12 seconds behind on his race around China. He's only going to pick up 1 point for Quad Force 1. And Propsicle doing what he can to try and gain on Yayu, but it's not going to happen. Yayu has pulled away again, and it's 1.7 seconds and a win.
Good job, Yayu.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, I had like 2 bad turns on my first lap, just screwed me.
Yeah. Propsicle there saying a couple of bad turns on his first lap, put him a little bit out of contention. He was fighting strongly, but Yayu never put a prop wrong. QTFPV just struggling a little bit on the first lap. Star onto that split S is where Propsicle got past him on lap number 2. And then Yayu just sewing it all up so nicely. Propsicle flying well, and then Yayu still getting further away all the time. So Quad Force 1 will try and catch up with Xblades with Hyper and Screecher, another new pilot in 2023. Sally 1 and Shane are their opponents in light blue. Now this is a bit of a big ask, as Sally 1 had a great week last week. Shane has been flying very daringly through some ridiculously small gaps for Xblades, possibly unnecessarily so, taking a few too many risks in recent weeks. He's currently in 2nd. Then it's Hyper. Oh, and Screecher's gone past him now as Hyper is down in 4th. Shane and Sally, 1/10 of a second between them. Then about 0.6 of a second before Screecher gets involved. So we go on board with Sally 1 chasing Shane onto the river turn. And then here's the split S's, which have caught a few people out. Split S's are not a new obstacle. We have them on a lot of our tracks. Shane and Sally 1 flying that very well. Screecher 1.9 seconds behind the lead, and Hyper over 5 seconds behind. This race is as good as over for Quad Force 1. A team as strong as Xblades, you don't get many chances to get in front of them. Shane leading Sally 1. I mentioned Shane takes some very dangerous routes. Let's see what he can do with the pagoda gate. He's lining up between the roofs. Oh, he didn't get out between the poles, but I've never seen anybody go between those 2 separate roofs. Wow, now he's rattling around all over the courtyard, and Hyper is so far behind, he still hasn't caught him. Sally 1 has 3, nearly 4 seconds over his teammate, who's got 2 seconds over Hyper. And Screecher is a few seconds behind them in 4th. It should be another 7 points to 3 for Xblades over Quad Force 1 here. We've got one more lap, and Sali 1 is surely not going to be troubled by anybody throughout it. Weaving through block trade, taking the splitters over the bridge very nicely indeed. Now to the rooftops where he hasn't made any mistakes. Clear China air for him as he weaves down. Comes up to the pagoda. What's he going to do here? He doesn't need to do anything risky. He still does with the pole exit. Made that work very nicely. Now he comes into the corkscrew, still almost 4 seconds ahead of Shane, even with his bravado flying. Sali 1 is just clean and smooth and quick out in front. There's the first of the split S's. The right-hand side for the second is very nice indeed. No trouble with this slalom, as you'd expect. He's going to come in and pick up an easy 4 points for him and Xblades.
Good job.
Shane will follow him in soon, and Hyper, then Screecher. Sali 1 with a strong win there for Xblades in the second race. Shane going for one of his impossible routes. That is so tight between those roofs, but the exit of it lost him any time that he'd gained. Still pretty impressive flying though. Into that corkscrew. That's all a little bit of a mess. Had to come back for it and then straighten up again, so it bled a lot of time as he did on the rooftop too. Sali 1 though. Just absolutely no problems out in front with all day to get it finished. So we'll go to the big heat with all 8 pilots in a matchup which seems to have got far away from Quad Force 1's grasp. There are 10 points available though, and we have had big heats change everything around. QTFPV just a little bit further back than everybody else on the block trade turns, but still within a second of the lead, and there's only 0.2 of a second between 6 of our pilots. Everybody weaving through the rings, going a little bit wrong for Star, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. He's had to go back and complete it, as has QT. We're on board with Propsicle, who's in second and really close to Yayu, and now behind Shane. Shane was alongside him, moved in front of him, still in front of him as we go down to the water towards the end of lap number 1. Yayu, then Shane, and then Propsicle. That split S is very good for Yayu. Continues to be really smooth around it. Shane, 0.6 behind Propsicle, only 2 behind him. But Quad Force 1 have got to get their pilots into those scoring positions. And at the moment, Screecher, on one of his first races in the DCL, is doing nicely being in 4th. But it's only because some of the performers who we would expect to be higher up the leaderboard have had a terrible start and are behind him. Star and Sali 1, for example, should be way higher up the leaderboard and on much closer times. Out in front is their teammate Yayu getting into trouble on the ladder, and Shane has passed him, but not Propsicle yet, although he's a lot closer than he was. But it's still a 1 and 2 for Xblades. Propsicle is in 3rd. Hyper hops in and out of the scoring position in 4th. But this is nowhere near the performance that Quad Force 1 needed to show. Even with Yayu rolling around on the more easier sections there. Propsicle now up into 2nd, but where Yayu falls, Shane is still out in front, and Yayu is still in a battle here as he's recovered nicely, and he's right behind Propsicle as they go to the rooftops on the 3rd and final lap. Star with that 2.8 seconds deficit. He got basically all of that at the start of the race, and everybody else has had more problems behind him. Oh, Propsicle is doing everything he can, though. You can't take that away from him as he attacks through the gate. He's so close to Yayu. Shane within touching distance, 0.05 of a second between the 3 of them, with only the last section of the DCL's route alongside the river to go. Propsicle just about making it through that split S. He does everything he can. Now he's going to weave along here, but Yayu and Shane are still in front of him. There they are, and it'll be a finish 1-2 again for Xblades.
Let's go, come on. Nice job, guys. Let's go.
The last freaking section. Shoot me, please.
Oh my god.
Please, dude. I literally
Oh my
hit the
god,
last
you're
gate.
right there.
I tapped it. I had both of them.
Propsicle's convinced he was going to get them, but it's Yayu who still came away with the win. Shane in 2nd. Star lost some time here back on lap number 1. Other pilots lost more time though. Here's Sali 1 having a big problem with the pagoda gate, getting caught on the top of it. Tries to complete it, thinks they've done everything, can't get through the last section, goes for the ladders, then realises they haven't done the obstacle and they have to go back and do it all again. Yayu is nicely rolling over the top of that and not touching anything. That's well done, but then the ladder got him. recovers from that, swings around, does all right here on the corkscrew, chasing Shane, but goes a little bit wider to then move across, which is a nice route. But then hits this tree, which is a big surprise because it's after the difficult split S, but it's right there in front of you. Fairly easy to see coming. On a later lap, third one, when the pressure was on, Yayu is flying that so well. You can see how close it is between Shane and Propsicle behind. But Shane just picks a more direct route. Just beats out Propsicle by 11 hundredths of a second. And with that, and the points from earlier, Xblades get a resounding win over Quad Force 1, 21 points to 9. A win in all 3 of those heats, and a matchup Quad Force 1 will want to forget. In fact, all of our top 4 teams came away with big one-sided wins, and in our standings, the only movement is that Quad Force 1 have swapped places with SDT down to 6th, and the top 6 teams are the ones who go to the Split 2 finals in a few weeks' time. On race day 12, SDT Perpetuumcoin will want to win over Mach 1 to stay in the top 6, and Raiden and China Dragons will be close. There's just 1 point between them, so join us for that next time. I'm Matt Andrews. We'll see you in the skies.